Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to another full guide on Deadlock. This time we're going to cover Paradox. She is an amazing hero, such a versatile duelist. And before we start, I know that the previous video was, in the nicest way to say, quite long. And so this time I want to make a more condensed version. And as always, everything will be timestamped so you can jump back and forth to the part that interests you the most. And let's jump straight into it. So in this full guide, we'll cover skills, items, the strategy of how to play Paradox, and with some examples in gameplay. So in order to make sure that I don't overextend this video, I will use a timer. So let's kick in. Now, talking about skills. She got pulse grenade, she got the time wall, she got the kinetic carbine, and she got the paradoxical swap. Now, her grenade, what does it do? It pulses 4 to 5 times depending on how you leveled it up, and it does damage over every single pulse. The more it pulses, the more damage amplification there is. As you can see, damage amp per stack. So this is usually the skill that you want to use first, because it amps up for you to make more damage later. So as you throw, it pulses, and the best way is this is how you lure out people out of the cover. Now, time wall. This is literally a wall that stops. Actually, it slows down projectiles, but not every single projectile. Certain ultimates, certain shots like lasers, they go through this. And what the bullets tend to do, it slows them down for 0.7 at this current patch. And after that, they will still pass through. So whenever you use a time wall, you want to make sure that you move aside. Otherwise, those bullets that you time stop, they will come back at you anyways. Now, kinetic carbine. This is your bread and butter. This is the initiator skill where it builds. So it's based off your damage, not your spiritual damage. So you cannot go full spiritual on Paradox. And what it does, it charges up, and when it's fully charged up, you have increased movement speed, and then you slow down completely the enemy. And then you have the paradoxical swap, where you swap places with the selected enemy. It's a projectile. Once it hits, they swap places, and in the midst of the swap, you are getting a little bit of life still. Very simple, very straightforward. Now, to understand certain things, the pulse grenade and the swap build up, stack up through spiritual power. Time wall, whenever you pass, the enemy passes through it, they take damage and get slowed, but it's based off their max HP. And it also silences them for 3 seconds when you max it out, which is great for late game. Whereas carbine amplifies through your damage, aka just normal physical damage. One thing to note, that in this current patch, I might be wrong, but so far I wasn't able to do it. You could bait with the kinetic carbine your a parry hit. So whenever you want to have a hard punch, right before you throw that hard punch, you can click on kinetic carbine and it would cancel it. Not anymore by the looks of it. So it would be something like this, but the punch goes anyways. So just to let you know. So this is the skills. Now let's talk about items. Now I have already made a little build that covers approximately 48,000 souls, and then there is some additional ones based on the circumstances of the game. Just to quickly guide through this. We're not going to go through all of them. I'll tell you the order and which which items you want to imbue to what skill. So in early, from left to right, as always, you want to go. It's 3,000. I think you can achieve it by minute 6, quite easy. If the lane is going great, before finishing this, you can sprint from Mystic Shout, because it just does so much in early, makes you much more forced to be feared. This is all during the laning phase. Once you got all of this and you're going through the early mid, by minute 12, all of this is around 8,000 souls. So by minute 12 on average, let's just put it, you should be able to get all of them. Mystic Vulnerability will help you with the swap and the pulse grenade to do a bit more and reduce the spiritual resistance. Improved cooldown will make sure that your kinetic carbine, again, your bread and butter, would have less and less cooldown, because this is important that you use it as much as possible. Stamina and sprint boost, endurance speed, this is all for your sustainability and flexibility to move around the map. And the offensive ones are obviously for offense. With this hero, you want to make sure that your aim is on point, because otherwise, well, I don't think Paradox is the hero for you. Now, once we're entering into mid-game to late game, there are different paths to take. I have tested out and they seem to work based on the circumstances. Whenever you're struggling, after minute 15, let's say, if you're struggling to survive or you need more escapability, Russian Warpstone or Superior Stamina is a good choice. This will allow you to be more flexible around the map, and Warpstone will allow you to be to feel much safer, to be much more flexible at escaping, or when you're making the swap, to close the gap with the enemies that you swapped with. Otherwise, you would go from left to right. And superior cooldown, you want to apply it on your kinetic carbine, again, because it does a lot of damage and you want to use it a lot, and hence you want to make sure that the cooldown is as low as possible. In certain niche circumstances, if you're doing great, if your teammates are always pushing, always fighting, but you need to make sure that your presence is noted and you can help out your teammates better, crippling headshot, once you finish all of this, rushing for crippling headshot can give you good benefits, simply because it reduces bullets and spirit resistance. And it also gives you lifesteal and a lot of weapon damage. However, it all depends on what the enemy combination is and how the game progresses. If everybody's playing passive and farms, and you have little to no, very minimal participation, you might want to go through left to right and try to make as much impact as possible alone. Whereas when you're always in a continuous fights and everything, Warpstone and Crippling Headshot are the things that you might want to rush first, but it all depends on the circumstances. Then you will follow through the Lucky Shot, obviously for bonus damage and slow, just to make sure that the enemy cannot escape as quick and he will receive much more damage. And then Phantom Strike, which is what I will explain in terms of combos. And before we finish off with items, there's also Siphon Bullets that you might want to consider as a circumstantial item to go for instead of Phantom Strike if the enemy is too tanky, or if you are too squishy and you're getting pinned down and you want to make sure that you survive just a little extra, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, let's get these items and let me show you some combo wombos, and after that we can jump straight into some gameplay where I can explain how, what do I go for and how do I play with this hero. Now let's presume we are getting a standard typical game where you don't feel like there's just there is no need for Siphon Bullets yet. So let's get the Phantom Strike. I got 3 minutes, perfect. So let's presume the enemies are over that side. My teammates are around here. There's two ways that you can do the combo wombos. The best way and the one that you will most likely be using. So the idea is that you kinetic carbine shot, freeze them, throw the Paradox, which has like a little projectile, and depending on the distance, usually if it's not like 10 meters close, you will have the opportunity to quick cast a wall before you make the swap. And as you're swapping, you will send them through the wall, which will silence them for 3 seconds, as we mentioned, when it's maxed out. And then you can seal the deal with Amp Bomb and just do the last hits. Let me just quickly show you what I mean by that. So, we're fighting, I see the enemies right there, maybe I jump, got the hit, do the swap, whoop, do this, bam. And now we seal in the deal. And you can touch close to approximately 5,000 damage. Now this is the idea of when you are solo dueling in later stages. Now if you're in laning stage, you know, let me just quickly show you that when you're charging up the carbine, they can hear it. So yeah, now he sees it, he hears it, he's hiding, I'm trying to pull him out, I shoot, I swap, and then I do the finishing touch with the bomb. But I threw that bomb, but in reality we threw it right there to amp up before the carbine shot. So it would be something again, I'm charging up, I'm throwing, he's running, I got the shot, I swap, and then I close the gap and do the damage. However, and this is what happens, is you might want to charge up And this is the most typical combo. Let's say you're a bit further away, you're clearing the waves or whatnot, and you hear the enemies are there, so you charge up. You try to get close to the enemies. You do this, swap immediately, and close the gap, and then finish off. This is, as I showed you a couple of times, imagine if the enemy teams are there, and your allies team is here. When you do the swap, this poor creep. Let me just quickly swap. When you do the swap, you must understand that you will be swapping places. So if it's a 6-on-6, and he will be in trouble if he has no escape ability. You are also in trouble because you have 5 guys who will be on you because you swap with the teammate. So this is where Warpstone can help you. Just close that distance to that guy with who you swapped. Okay, the timer is off, but it's okay. I'll just finish off real quick. So as you swap, let's say we swap, the enemies are around me, you will immediately zoom in, Warpstone in, and then you want to just close a little bit the distance, just so you can do the Phathom Strike, and that way you have covered all the distance going back to your allies who are ganking upon that swapped enemy. So I hope this makes sense. I know I'm trying to sprint to make it more time condensed for you. The idea is carbine shot. You pick off, you swap, you silence them, you immediately come in and Phathom Strike them, which will disarm them, slow them, and they will take damage. So he cannot move almost, he cannot basically cast any spells. The only thing that he can do is utilize an item that can debuff the spells, debuff removal, or untouchable. But those are very expensive and very situational items that not every single hero gets it. Now, just so you understand, and this is how we will close it, and we'll jump into gameplay. Paradox is not a carry. Paradox is not a tank. Paradox is an initiator. Her role is to obviously do as much damage as possible, but she's very squishy. So what she must do, she must be flexible in escaping, and she must be capable of turning an even fight into your favor. Because by swapping, you're about to make it a 5-on-5, or you're about to make it a 6-on-5, if you will survive. And it's also very important to know who you select for swapping. There are certain heroes who are counters to you. Perfect example is Mirage. Whenever you carbine charge, shoot him, he can still cast his tornado and run away and dodge your paradox swap. There's also the Pocket, who can hide within a case, who can use his 2 to escape if he got picked up by the paradoxical swap. So you want to be very careful with who you pick, and you want to be really careful with what enemies have. If there is more in Krill and you swap, he will immediately ulti on you and you are as good as dead. So you want to make sure that you pick in the right time at the right place, and make sure that you will be in one-man advantage over the enemy once that swap happens. And with that being said, more or less we have covered the skills, the items, the order of things, how to play, and more or less the strategy. Another thing to note, the purpose, and I will finish with this, you must always make sure that you die as least amount of possible, because you're not going to be farming jungle. You shouldn't be, because you cannot do level 3s. You can do real quick with the pulse grenade level 1s and 2s, do the cinder boxes and the urns, but these are not mandatory. What you must do, in my opinion, again, it's open for the debate, is you must dominate your lane, and once the early stage of laning phase is done, you must start rotate, gank and push, have a numerical advantage, and pick off escaping enemies. That's what Paradox shining the most, in early mid to mid game. Once we're progressing to late, you will see diminishing returns, because her biggest impact is that she can turn around fights and turn them 6-on-5 if you're good. If you have executed the combo well. Otherwise it would be 5-on-5, or worse, 5-on-6 in a disadvantage. So she's more of an initiator, and she is not there to carry the team. Take note that. So you gotta be as heavily present in your first 30 minutes. And you, as much as nobody will appreciate it, it is your swap that can make the big difference, even in late game, but that is much harder. With that being said, this is the first part. Let's jump into the videos. Alright, so now we're going to check some gameplay. There's a number of games that I want to cover, but I think I'll cover the main ones just to kind of make it. I'll put another 10 minutes timer. Here we go. Here we're going to check a couple of perfect examples of how during the mid game you can turn around fights, and literally it's all because of you. So as we can see right now, we're in mid game. We're in a disadvantage by 14k, I think, in souls. Yeah, and it is because of the swap that we just did that we forced a fight in a numerical advantage in our favor. Then we were able to secure the mid boss, and then we were able to nullify their main carry, which was Lash, who tried to steal the rejuvenator. Let's take a look. So, one sec, yeah. So here I just see that the lanes are being pushed. I'm seeing that there is Wraith. I'm charging up, jumping, got the kill, got the shot, making the swap, slowing them down. Yamato is chasing. Now Wraith and Lash were one of their main carries because she had siphon bullets and a lot of life steal. So we got the kill on Wraith. There is more in Krill. He got slowed. There is also McGuinness. And so me and Yamato kind of fell back, but because we had our allies of Lady Geist and Infernus, that we were able to secure the kill. Those kills. In the end, it was 3 kills. Let me just pause it. So what has happened? We have picked off Wraith, forcing the enemy to engage with us. And we had a numerical advantage against Wraith. It was 2-on-1. By the time Moin Krill and McGuinness came, she was already dead. It was 2-on-2, and then Lady Gas and Infernus came in for the action as well. So we were actually 4-on-2 after that. Because Yamato used her ultimate and she was low on HP, myself also got a bit of pain. Because we used a time wall, we helped also do a little bit of damage on the upcoming guys who tried to help Wraith. But it was not enough, and in the end we were in 3-man advantage. And so what we decided to do is to follow up and get the mid boss. We were communicating left and right, trying to make sure do we want to do it. In the end we decided to do it. We were also talking about that we couldn't see a Lash, and he, as you can see, was the leading player in their team, literally carrying them. And so I was already prepping up my kinetic carbine, as you can see, because I was expecting him to come from the top, try to use the ultimate to pick us up and throw somewhere else so he can steal the rejuvenator. So this is where, again, your choice secured and made sure that we didn't lose this opportunity. As you saw, I slowed him down. He was already using his ultimate. And the beauty is that by swapping while he was doing his ultimate, we just cancelled out him picking up any of your teammates, and the only one who he was able to lock in was only ourselves. And that is absolutely fine, because that way we're still in advantage. We already secured the rejuvenator. He threw us down, and then he died. And this, as now you can see, we're now 2k ahead when we were 14k behind. And this is the type of gameplay that you must do. Seek those one-offs so your teammates communicating with you can say, okay, I'm about to swap. Let's pick up one of their carries. We pin him down. We kill him. Now they're trying to help him out. It's too late. You have a numerical advantage over the enemy. You can seal the deal in that team fight and try to get some objectives, whether it is the towers, the walkers, the tier 3 towers, maybe even the shrines or whatnot, or get the mid boss and just keep pushing forward. And that is not the first example. Now let's take a look at another one. This is a second example that I want to show. Even though we lost, because in the end I'm not winning 100% of the games, even though we lost, we were winning this matchup. We were against Vindicta. We won her 3-0. We were dominating the lane. However, Lash and Haze were able to stomp us pretty heavy. Sorry, not Haze. It is Lady Geist that was able to stomp us alongside with Lash, and we were, unfortunately, we didn't have enough to win this. So let's take a look. there's a couple of interesting things that I want to point. How do you lane up against long range and short range? So far, the only counters that I have seen was Mirage and Pocket so far. Moin Creel, Abrams, Talon, Vindicta, those are fights that you can manage. And let me just show you. So in here, just literally in these first minutes,
your legend will only grow.
I will show you what are the strategies with Paradox. I tend to learn Pulse Bomb first because the amp stacks deal so much damage, especially in early. Please take a look. So I decided to have a look where's my medical trooper is going, and because that's the direction that he's going, that's where the enemy is going. I have seen that Vindicta is now on the roof. I want to get rid of the medical. And now three taps. And look, she lost 75% because she ate 3 pulses, which made me amplify the damage on her so much. And now the idea was just to put on the pressure. Pressure, don't let her breathe, try to deny as much as possible, try to make sure that the tower feels under pressure, and just keep spamming that pulse grenade. One thing that I forgot to notice, which ones do you want to max first? It all depends. Carbine is a good choice to go and max out first. Then you want to max out the paradoxical swap. Then I would recommend, depending on the situation, if there's just too much team fights going on, maybe you want to max out Time Wall for that 3-second silence, because it is quite impactful. Otherwise, if you feel that it's more passive and you can farm, maybe you want to go for the pulse grenade so you can clear out jungles tier 1, tier 2 much quicker when you see that there is nothing too much to do and you have a minute or two to do things left and right, whether it's Urn, whether it's a Sinner box, whether it is a little bit of light jungle clearance. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say. With Moy and Creel, essentially, when I was fighting against tanks, you also want to be a bit aggressive with them. Make sure that they don't get that medical troop alive, and just make sure that if he wants to fight close with you, fight under the pulse, because that way you can still out damage him more than he can do you. You're squishier than them, but the damage you output can compensate, as long as you're fighting inside the pulse grenade. So with that being said, let me show you an interesting ganking at minute 11. Let's jump straight into it. Minute 11, more or less. All right. That's what I usually tend to do. If I'm coming from home and I'm seeing that there's gonna be a fight right before I'm about to be in the team fight, I'm charging myself up, so I'll have that speed boost. I can jump out and I can see what's going on, slow myself by zooming in. You will be floating mid-air and you can choose what is it that you want to do. Something like that's a swap. He was not able to. As you saw, I immediately came in, swapped with him, my friends came in, finished the job. For me, taking up a couple of hits from the tower is nothing, and we were able to secure, and he also messed up his escapability. Otherwise, that would have been a bit more programmatic. But because we had Moy and Krill, I thought he would secure it with his ultimate, and this is what I think he did. A perfect example during the ganking phase. So I finished my lane, which was the right lane. I think it is the yellow lane, and we came to the purple lane. I think that's the one. And yeah, and this is how you kind of push yourself. Once you finish doing your job, you come in and you help out your folks. And now you are 3 against the first tower, take it down, and off you go, help out more folks. And there is the urn as well that you can follow up. So yeah, it's almost done. So let me just sprint through it. There's a couple things that I want to show you. So urn and escape, minute 14. Yeah, so here, as you can see, I decided to pick up the urn. I was going to the other side with the urn. The enemies were already waiting for me. I asked my friends to help me out, so the fight kind of shifted away from the urn location into the, let's say, the third lane, second on the right in the middle. And I decided to skim through to put that urn and then help out my folks. And so what happened is that Hayes saw me and tried to kill me. So I decided to run away. from the ultimate, put the wall just for good measurement. I messed up my jump. Decided to just shoot for the sake because I was running out of time. And Haze was still chasing me. I got stunned. I'm about to die. And even though you see I have 3 staminas, in reality I had 0. And I just had 1 that just charged up. So I had no choice but to escape and do some kind of a play. And this is where the versatility of Paradox comes in. Because she is extremely high cap, high skill gap, but very versatile hero. Coming in, immediate swap, this stun, pulse grenade, which again, damage amplification, 3, finished. I will not lie, I think I was extremely lucky the fact that I had that dash to hide and make the swap, and then kind of everything aligned with the stun. And this is how you have the utility to make a crazy plays, and you have extraordinary escapability because you have so much CC with the wall, with the kinetic carbine, and with the swap. You can do crazy stuff with it. And just to finish off, I think there was a jungle and lane defense ganking. There is a couple of ganking examples that I want to show. And at minute 7, yeah, just to show you a bad swap, which you must take consideration. This is the one. So a perfect example of a bad duel and a bad decision making. At the end of the day, I'm not perfect. So here I was pushing the lane. Vindicta came to me. I tried to escape. And so in the end, I decided to rotate, help out the other neighboring lane where Wraith was with pushing with Mirage. So we didn't communicate it with Wraith, so that was on me. I saw that Vindicta and Geist are on their respective lanes. I didn't see Lash and Haze. And so I got greedy or cocky and decided to engage with Mirage, which again, in its own is a very dangerous pick to swap against, basically. So I charged it up, jumped, slowed, swapped. Actually, a relatively really good swap in the end of the day. He lost half of his HP almost. And unfortunately, I'm just paying the price because Haze and Lash are now on top of us. Even though I tried to escape, I ran out of stamina and I died. So this is definitely something that you wanna avoid, and how you do that is by being more map aware, having communication with Wraith. Because if she was there, maybe we could have secured a kill on Mirage, but she was fighting against Haze and was able to secure that kill at least. But more than anything is to know who to pick, at what time, and what is the current circumstances. Are allies close by? Are enemies hiding somewhere? Are they elsewhere? And if you feel like the situation is in your advantage to engage, that's when you engage. But yeah, just to finish off real quick, ganking is at minute 23:30. I know there is 2 of them, so I need to find out which one is the one. 23:30. Let's see. Maybe it's this one. All right. So I bought the warp stone. Coming into
Playtime.
Nice work.
Let's see. Yeah, I was looking if there's anything. Nothing is going on. Yes, I think we will pick off as a team a Lady Geist. So as we saw, Moin Krill is now engaging with Haze and Geist.
I see the Sandman.
And this is where I'm seeing jumping in, got the sniper shot, swapping. She is already less than half HP. I would say we took approximately half of her HP because she was already a little bit low on HP. Now let's take a look at the map. Haze had to escape. Bebop, too far away. Wraith, Mo and Krill and Infernus and myself are on her. Yes, she made the swap. It doesn't matter. And this is the kind of picks that you want to look forward to. Even though so we are now fully alive, whereas Vindicta is now about to come back, but Lady Geist is dead. So now we have a perfect chance to keep on pushing forward. Maybe it's help out Pocket. Maybe it's to push on the second, the last walker. Oh well, actually, the second remaining walker, or maybe trying to finish off the walker on the yellow lane. So these are the things that you want to seek after. Have your mid-game presence as maxed out as possible, so you gotta be everywhere as possible. Try to participate in as many fights as possible. Try to make sure that you just pressure and squeeze the space, the remaining space of the enemy, so that they will feel less confident going into their own jungle. We gotta make sure, because we're coming to the mid game, you gotta make sure that you are there to punish them if they get overextended, because now they're running out of space to go back under the towers essentially. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope this was informative. Again, all of what I've said is my opinion. This is the build, this is the playstyle that I think best suits Paradox, because again, in late game, she gives diminishing returns in terms of damage, not in terms of what she can do for the team. In late game, she can do a lot for the team. However, it is not you who can make the difference. You are making the difference in terms of making a numerical advantage in your favor, but that is it. You are swapping, you're CCing as much as you can. You make sure that you're fighting with one-man advantage because of the swap. You killed off an enemy, and now now it's more numerical advantage for you. But it's up for the team to finish the deal against the rest, if that makes sense. And yeah, with that being said, thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, all that jazz. And let's keep conversation going. What would you have done? What is your way of playing Paradox? And